What is up everyone, Rob the Vapor here, and today we finally have part 2 of Rebuildable Vaping for beginners. And in this video we are going to wrap our coils, we are going to put them on the decks, and we are going to fire them, test and make sure that they are working. So hopefully you enjoyed the first part, and hopefully you have all the stuff that I mentioned in the first part, because now we can actually do what I was talking about, right? So we're going to use two different deck styles. One where you actually put your console and your coil through the post holes, and then another type of deck which is a K-Fun, let's say K-Fun's, or no, not Orchids, K-Fun's do it, Sub-Tank Minis or BA deck does it. It's basically where you wrap your lead around the screw as opposed to actually straight through the post hole. And we'll do both of those styles. We will also build a coil using a coil master, and we will also build a coil using a standard wraparound method that you would use on like a screwdriver or anything like that. The important thing to remember before you start rebuilding is don't be too afraid of it, and don't be afraid to experiment. I didn't use an app or a calculator to get my resistance and stuff like that. I found out using an ohm meter and just wrapping around a screwdriver a few times until I started to get ideas on how many wraps, what ohmage and stuff like that. I don't actually calculate beforehand, really. Probably not the right way to do it, but that's how I do it and it works for me. But don't be too afraid is the most important thing that I can state. Experiment. As long as you're not putting it on your mod and trying to fire it, you're fine. Use an ohm meter, use something like this, and then you're golden. You're not, you're not harming anyone that way. You're not going to harm yourself. And it's just a good way to practice, and it's also a good way to find out roughly, what sort of resistance your coil is, and yada yada yada. So first we're going to take some Coil, and I actually don't have any measured out. I just have some Coil, if you guys can see that on camera. And I don't really, have a particular, length that I cut, but like, let's say, I'll cut it here for what it's worth. I'm using the nail clippers, and we've got a cut now. So now we're going to go in close. First we're going to do the coil master, then immediately after we'll use a regular jig, and then we will do both of the decks. So yeah, I'll see you down below. It's coiling time. So here we are with the universal tools, aka coil master. They're all the same thing. So basically what you want to do is, and this is sort of a tutorial on how to use these, because I know a lot of people sort of struggle with these things, even though they're really simple to use. I have heard people have issues with them and they sort of give up. So thread it through your hole, simple, right? You want to thread all your console through, and again, I probably have a little bit too much console here, but whatever. So once you get towards the end, you just want to pin it down with your thumb like that, and then what you want to do is make one sort of half wrap around the deck like that, if you guys can see, like that. There we go. And then just correspond your head with the size of the bit you're using. In this case I'm using a 2mm bit, so you're going to want to start wrapping. So let's do this. So there's one. Okay, then you want to bring it out a little bit away from the base. Two. Do that again. 4 run now. I actually missed one there. 5, and then let's leave it at 6. Okay, so that's 6. So the important thing to remember here, guys, is when you're turning it, just make sure that it goes a little bit over where your thumb is, so that when you let go, it sort of comes even with the this part here. So that's your basic micro coil, and that was really simple, right? That's using the coil master here, so it's really easy to make a good coil with that. So then you just push your console through, or whatever. I actually have a little bit too much on the end there, and yeah, now we just trim it, and that's it. It's that simple to get your first coil. Now this one with the leads, will tighten these up as well once we actually start heating it and putting it on our RDA. But that's your basic coil, guys. Happy days, right? Very simple, very easy. And then you just want to bring in your tweezers and give it a little snip. These ones are messed up. Or not tweezers, sorry. Ah shit, we lost our coil, man. What the hell? Hold up. Okay, I'm back, and I just dropped the coil. So there it is, your first micro coil. Very simple and easy, especially when using a coil master. Very simple. So when you're going dual coil, you just want to repeat that process, basically. And we'll squeeze these together a little bit once we start actually heating it. But that is your first micro coil. Happy days, right? And let's move on. Now we're going to use a coil jig. I'm going to show you guys basically how to use one of those as well. Okay, we're back, guys, and we have our cathode and we have our regular coil jig, something like you'd see on Fast Tech or somewhere like that. So basically the most important part of when you're wrapping around something like this is just slow and steady wraps. And remember, no matter how messy they are, it can be fixed pretty handily when you actually have it on your mod and you're heating it. As long as it's you know, the foundations are there, you're not too bad. So you're wanting to trap the bottom part with your thumb, and you're going to want to sort of manipulate the cathode a little bit here to bend the way you want it to. And let's see here if we can go with one wrap here, and let's see if we can get this slow and steady is the important part. Let's see if we can get this in. 3, this coil is going to suck. 4, 5, 6. Now that sucks. This coil absolutely sucks. But there's something I was wanting to show you guys, and that is how to heat and repair the coil basically. So we'll probably do that on the K-Fun maybe. But that's basically how you want to produce a coil. This one is a big ghetto. We might use this one on our K-Fun, and then we'll actually, when we've got that down, we will we'll manipulate it, and I'll show you how you can actually tighten it up a lot. Now you can squeeze it a little bit before you take it off your jig or whatever, but I personally prefer doing it on my mod once the unit is actually heated. But first we should probably check the resistance of these coils before we do anything with them. This one kind of blows a little bit, but it's been a while since I used the coil jig. Coil Master is way better, so happy days. Okay, so I am back, and now I'm going to show you guys how to place your coil and then also, you know, secure it or fasten it down. So basically the thing that you're wanting to remember here is that when you were putting something into your deck, the main important thing to know is that the positive poles are on the inside and negatives are on the outside. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now there's many different styles of deck, and we're going to go through 2 of them. So I'll show you guys how this, in my opinion, is the easier type deck. This is a Seagreen X V2, and this is a very common deck design, and I really like this design. So we're going to actually try and do this when I can't actually see anything. So let's see here. Now there's 2 ways of doing this. You can do it, there's either you move the inside lead here that's going into your positive. You can put that on the far side here on this one, or you can put it in on this one. It doesn't really matter. Some people do it on the further one, I do it on this one, so it's whatever. So let's open this up here. I hope you guys can see this, and then we pop her through. If she's wanting to get through, she's being a bitch. This is why I don't do builds on camera, because it's quite tough. Ah, there we go, we're through. It's quite tough to actually do it on camera, it really is. So once you have your coil in, there's a few things that you want to be careful of. One is you don't want it touching the walls of, you know, say your casing or whatever. You don't want it touching that. You don't want it touching the deck. You don't want it touching anything else. So you have to keep that in mind. So the way I like to do it is, and I should have done this the other way really, is like put your screw in. And in this case, this is the Seagreen X, so the sleeve for this, it's actually kind of at an angle, the airflow is. So we're actually going to position this coil sort of at an angle like this. And we're going to bring it a little bit into the center. The more centered, the better, in my opinion, depending on where the airflow is. On things like the plume veil, for example, the airflow sort of sits, I think, closest to the coil, a little bit on this side here, so you know, I leave that there. So when you've got it kept in place, you're going to want to screw down and trap the leads. That's quite easy, really. That's the easiest part on a deck like this. So you want to just screw it down, and boom, she's trapped. And screw down this, boom, she's trapped. So you want to do this on both sides identically, which I will be doing, but I'll do the second off camera because it's a pain in the ass. So you can position and manipulate once the leads are trapped, but always make sure that after you manipulate it, that your screws are nice and tight, like that, and again like that. The other thing to be wary of is when you're using tighter Coil, or thinner Coil, sorry, it can actually snap from the screws, so you want to be careful of that. Now the other thing, excuse me, you want to check your resistance. Our coil is in place, it's secure, it's nice and tight. Let's just double check. You always want to double and triple, because our stupid RDA is not in check. Okay, jump call, had to make a phone call, had to take a phone call, and also we've got a lighting change now. Here, check this out, this is awesome. But anyway, so as I was saying, you want to check and make sure that everything is tight, okay? And your little coil will be happy as Larry. And then you want to check your ohms, like so, 0.5, okay? So that means when you're using two coils, your ohm resistance will half when you put another coil in. So when I add another coil, I'll be at 0.25, okay? So that is actually quite a low build, and probably lower than you guys should ever do, especially if you're on a mech. That is what it's going to come out to be. So that's quite a low build. You get a lot of vapor off it. But another thing you want to look out for is that your reading stays the same continuously. That means that there's no dodgy leg, that means nothing is loose. So this is stayed at 0.5 throughout, and that means that there is nothing loose, anything like that. Now, we will be adjusting this again, and we'll be changing it. So we want to take more and more readings, we want to be as safe as possible. So, you know, if I touch the deck or if I manipulate anything, see it'll change 0.6, it went up to there. You're going to want to make sure that you can, you know, check for that and make sure that you have that in your head. That's the main part, you know, because building coils is not dangerous. Putting them on RDAs is not dangerous. It's only not dangerous when you put them on a mod. That's when it becomes not dangerous. So you have to make sure that your coil, or that's when it becomes dangerous, sorry. So you have to put it on and make sure that it's safe before you ever even, you know, put it on a mod. You have to make sure it's safe on an ohm reader before it ever goes on a mod. That's the important thing. Okay guys, let's take another cut. We are going to do the RBA section of the Kanger, and then we'll come back and we'll test and heat one of them. I'll show you guys how to tighten up the coils, and we'll probably do that on the Kanger, and we'll also show you how to wick. What is up, people? We are back, and so some of you guys might recognize this little fella. This is the Kanger Subtank Minis rebuildable deck, and it's quite easy to build on, and I want you guys to definitely try on it, because this is one of those ones that most people is going to have. Maybe they don't even realize they have it. But yeah, so remember that janky horrible coil we built? Well, we're going to use that now, and we're also going to tighten it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to actually put your own coil in this unit. Okay, so basically with one of these coils here, there's a few ways to do this. You can use a screwdriver to keep it in place, or you can hold it over it like I do. And the important thing here, guys, is you want to have the leads facing down towards the deck. That's pretty much the most important part. And then you want to just do this, trap those leads under the screws. Let's see if I can do that. And here we go, we got one under, and let's get the other guys under. Okay, so there we go. And you can leave that sitting there now like that. And again, with anything, when it comes to rebuilding, you can really manipulate it and alter it as you go along. So okay, the first thing we want to do is tighten down this screw. See if we can do that. And honestly, building is a pain in the ass on camera. Really, really is. So there we go, that's one lead trap. Look how easy that was. Okay, now it mightn't be the tightest right now, but we use that to our advantage. And tighten up this guy. And boom. Now, once you've got that tightened, there's a few things you can do. One, you're sort of wanting to bring that coil down a little bit so that it's over the airflow. Wow, this is a really janky coil, but that's good. That's good, because most of you guys will have a janky coil on the first attempt anyway, so happy days, right? So they're pretty much trapped now, and there's a method that Rip and a few others do where they twist the wire until it breaks and snaps off. Now that might work for you, but if you have thick Coil, it's kind of a bit of a pain and it doesn't really work all the time, so I like to just trim it right there, and that should do the job. And the thing that you've got to be careful of in RTAs is, and I'll show you guys in a minute when I'm actually wicking it, is that they're actually prone to these little leads that you just snipped off are actually prone to, sometimes they'll hit the wall. Now there's ways to avoid that, but just the way that I did this, it can happen sometimes, so I'm just letting you guys know. And that is coming out at 0.8 ohms, which is perfect. That's actually a really good resistance to have in an RTA, in my opinion. It's a good balance between flavor and like crazy amounts of vapor, and that is a consistent, continuous 0.8 as well. So happy days. And now we will go to the next part, and that is heating, manipulating the coil. And I'll also show you guys wicking as well, because I'm a nice guy. So yeah, let's get to it. And here we go, guys. And this basically is, this applies to all coils. We're at the heating stage now, where we want to make sure that our coil is tight and evenly heating. Now if you see here, you will see that there's going to be hot spots there. See that? Loads of hot spots, because that's a janky coil. Not to worry, that's fine. So once you've heated it a little bit, take your metal tweezers. If you have ceramic, you can use your ceramic tweezers as you're heating. If not, do not press that fire button no matter what you do. Now you just squeeze gently and hold it for a little bit. Squeeze it again. Squeeze it again. Just a little bit. Then heat it again. Again, we're still getting hot spots, okay? So what we will do then is make sure that we're not manipulating the coil a little bit too much, which we might be doing here. So let's just make sure that everything is okay. Because when you're using a tweezers or anything like it, you're actually going to be messing up with the leads too. So you want to make sure that you have them in nice and tight and they've got nowhere to go. And then yeah, we'll just heat her again. Okay, right. Good for another tweeze. Because as you're tweezing these things, you're going to be, you know, moving them a little bit. The leads, that is. And I'm not sure you guys can see, but because it's kind of producing a white light on the camera as opposed to an orange glow, which I would have liked. But we're getting there. We're getting there, folks. And she's starting to heat a lot better now. Okay, let's see if we can tighten that up again another little bit there. And again, and again. And let's see here, make sure everything's tightened down again before we fire. This screwdriver's busted. I'm going through my collection of Fastech screwdrivers here because they're all absolutely busted. Like that. Make sure it's all nice and tight. You might even have to shake her a little bit. And again, much better. Much better. Much better. Okay, I think with that we can actually be okay with that. That's about what we want from this. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, and I think if that was your first attempt, then that's perfect for sure. So now on comes the wicking, and the wicking is, it's not too difficult. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. So with the wicking, then you want to grab a piece of cotton. Let's just see. I've got some here. Here's some cotton that I prepared earlier. Now let's see if this is the right size. I haven't actually put this through yet, so we'll see. Try and thread it through. And yeah, that's about perfect actually. It might even be a little bit loose. Yeah, you kind of want it to be a little bit tighter, but that's okay, you know, that's okay. Again, if this is your first attempt, that ain't too bad to have on your first try. Now let's just make sure that everything is okay. It looks like it. We also want to take a look at this freaking thing. I can't even remember how I wicked this. I'm looking at it there now, and I think it's quite a simple build actually. Like, you put your cotton on the deck, something like that, but we'll have to snip the cotton anyway. We've got a little bit too much, so straighten out your cotton, do a snippy poos, maybe about I'm grabbing it a bit there, and let's see, we'll go about here. I've got the shakes because I had coffee just now, so I'm a little bit shaky, and then with either your scissors, a screwdriver, any sort of tool, put it flush to the deck and fluff it out a little bit, fan it out like that. Let's see. Okay, I can't see from this side, so I'm actually missing a side here. Yeah, but the cotton is touching the deck there. That looks okay. I think I can live with that. I might snip it a little bit on this side, so to give you guys a shot, it'd be something like that. But again, you just snip some of this off, just trim it. Again, a lot of this is trial and error. With wicking and RTA, for example, a lot of it's trial and error, and a lot of it is also to do with what works for your liquid. So sometimes, you know, one guy might have a method that works fantastically for him, but it might work terribly for you. And that could be just down to your liquid, it could be down to your wicking material, it could be down to anything like that. But for now, we'll try this out and we'll see how it performs. So with the Kanger, then you have this little ring. So what I like to do is I like to set up your wick first, and then once that's down, then this is the lazy way to do it, but it works, is you can just screw it down like this. If we can get it on. Okay, now that's the lazy way to do it, okay? But it works. So lazy way, and then what you want to do then is you want to make sure that the wick is at the bottom, but also that it doesn't suffocate the channels. So the way I like to do that is just sort of give it a little bit of a poke around there to make sure that the channels have a little bit of room to breathe. Okay, and let me just take a look at this myself, so it's not on cam. Yeah, basically you want the cotton flirting with the channel, flirting with the hole. It's not giving it the full hole, not yet. So you want to do it like that, yeah. And then once it's something like that, that's pretty much fine. And what we will do now is we will actually stick some juice in. I've got some liquid voyage here. If you guys haven't tried liquid voyage, you're missing out. Okay, I don't know what the hell happened there, but my mod started acting funny. But anyway, is she producing vapor? The answer is yes. Happy days. Okay, let's take her back up top and we'll try it. Now, if you were using an RDA and you made the coils and put them on in the method I did with the wicking, it's basically the same as here, except you're touching the bottom of the juice well. And that's basically all I can say about it. It's quite simple other than that, but yeah, let's take this thing up top. And that is the hanger we just built, and it is actually putting out quite a lot of vapor. Now let's move this here so you guys can hear me a little bit better. And yeah, that's basically rebuilding, guys. As much as I know, I would class myself as like intermediate. Like there's still things I'm learning. So I wanted to do this guide because I wanted to show you guys that I was a beginner only like a month or two. No, about 2 or 3 months ago I started. So you know, it's a very quick process once you actually get doing it. But I do recommend the Coil Master. I feel like now, even doing the coil jig thing now for me is so natural and clunky that it just threw me off. When you have something like a Coil Master, you really don't need to worry about perfect coils, you know, it just makes it easier, you know. But this thing is a nice vape actually with the way we did it. So yeah, and that puts out a lot of vapor. The sub tank has good flavour. Now this isn't even on max airflow. Let's open this bitch up and see how she performs. This isn't even on max airflow, by the way. This is it wasn't, but this is a max VG. So we'll see how the max VG can handle my wicking, and let's hope we don't get a dry hit. Lots of clouds. Lots of clouds. Yeah, no dry hit. And there we go. Happy days. Getting a little bit sore throat after all that though. But yeah, that's the Kangaroo sub tank, the way they wick that, and it's just so perfect. And I hope you learned something from this video, guys. Sorry for the jump cuts. Phone calls got in the way. Then my Tesla box mount was acting really weird. It does that sometimes. It almost exploded before, so I don't recommend it. I suggest buying something better. And I've been Rob the Vapor, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Haters catch the vapors. Thanks for watching. Peace out, bitches. Bye.